Hello viewer, my name is Sam, this is Skelly's Garage, and behind me is Faf, although it's completely unrelated to what I'm about to say. Before we get into the meat of the video that you actually clicked on, I wanted to share a quick message with you. I am working on something big, something exciting, something cool, something the likes of which I've never done before. And, well, that's part of the reason that it's taken so long to release this one, because what happened was I was working on this and then got the idea for that and then started working on that, and, well, that's how ADHD works. I am really excited for you to see the results of what I've been working on, and it will come soon. How soon? I don't know, but soon. In the meantime, however, thank you for sticking with me, and please enjoy this next new episode of the Project M54 Rebuild series. I'll see you again, dressed in these clothes, soon.
Welcome back. Now, while it is really exciting that the engine is timed and it seems to be timed correctly, there are still quite a few things that need to get done on this engine bay before the engine goes in. One of those things is cleaning, which I'm not going to do today. However, the thing that I am going to do today is replacing this wiring harness. So what do we need? So what do we need to do? We need to replace this wiring harness. This wiring harness contains the leads for the oxygen sensors and the reverse switch, but that's actually, this one's fine. All of the other ones aren't. As you remember, some of these got a little bit melty, and it was the first point of investigation for all this nonsense in the first place, and I figured, well, I'm already in here. I already bought a harness. Let's put it in. How can there be so much light and so little light at the same time? So I'm going to take this off, and then we're going to see how we remove it from the e-box. There's that one. Making sure it's still the right harness. Okay, good. We can take this out. Take out our DME. I'm just going to disconnect all the cables from the DME. Let's see what else we're connected to here. Is it a legal requirement for these wires to be all just a disaster? Do you think? All right, I'm gonna go get the new one's right here. Oh. So there's been a complication, but I'm trying to understand whether I made a mistake or I just misunderstood. Well, that I made a mistake is clear, but I'm trying to understand how I made the mistake. So anyway, here's the wiring harness that was in my car. On the end of this harness, the business end, you have the transmission connector for the reverse light switch, and a number of completely ruined O2 sensors, wires for those O2 sensors. Here's the new harness. On the business end of this harness, we have O2 sensor wiring, looks fine. But we also have this, which is a transmission controller plug. Obviously, that's for an automatic X5 because good luck trying to find any electrical parts for an obscure X5 that they only made 1,500 of. So I guess we have a decision to make. The first option is, I mean, I don't really want to use this wiring harness, the one that's in this car. I mean, it's possible. I could, right? But like this one appears to be complete, and it's nice, and it's got like all the plugs, and they look in decent shape, and the oxygen sensor wires aren't mangled. If I put the engine that I just spent a year rebuilding into this car and I wire it all up and the engine starts and it runs like shit because there's a bad oxygen sensor wire, I'm going to be upset. Not because it was a waste of time to do that. I demonstrated to you that that engine was bad. On the other hand, I would like to have working reverse lights, which with this, I won't. And there is a somewhat hacky way to fix that. I just don't know if I want to go down that route. I'm just surprised because I thought I looked at this with a pretty deep level of understanding, which is why I bought this part in the first place. Fuck! The third option is, of course, less than optimal. But suppose, no, I'm not even going to entertain that. I'm not taking this wiring harness apart. I'm not taking that wiring harness apart. This is the wiring harness for the automatic X5. This is the wiring harness that came out of my car. As I discovered while I was trying to put this one in,
it's completely different. Not only is it different on this side, it's actually quite a bit different on this side as well. Most of the connectors on the automatic wiring harness will connect just fine to my car, except this big one. This is a female socket on this side, whereas this is a male socket on this side. We're left with really only one way to go, and it's to combine both harnesses to make one good harness that will work in my manual X5. And I tried to think through this and try to find a way that I could do this without doing that, but I haven't found one. So I'm gonna start by trying to take apart the original wiring harness, and we'll see what we get to from there. See if we can collect these wires all in one place. I might have to take these connectors apart too. Okay. Jesus Christ. So I've discovered that there is a connection within the wiring harness that converts 4 power wires coming from the oxygen sensors and the heaters into this one big thick power wire. I don't see how to loosen this, so I'm just going to cut it, and then I'll use a crimp to put it back together. And the only connector that I need to be nice to is the reverse light switch. So that's our old oxygen sensor wiring. So now we need to figure out how to get these out of this wiring harness. Don't need that. Now we can take out the wires that we want, get rid of everything that we don't want. I'm going to wrap them all up like this. Okay, now we're going to lubricate this. Let's try to get it going. So I'm going to tie these two together, and then I'm going to tie these two together, and then I'm going to tie all of them together. That should work. Let's just test it. The connection I made here is good. I'm just going to wrap it with some electrical tape, and we should be all set to go. There's one final test. The red power wire that we just spliced together, that goes into this fuse box. And I'm going to stick this into the fuse box and see if we can get a reading or a continuity with the oxygen sensor wire from the power side. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. So from a modification perspective, that's it. We're done. I just now need to reassemble this harness and repin these connectors back to the DME connectors, and then this can go back in the car.
At this point, I pulled up the wiring diagram on TIS, picked up my multimeter, and started pinning the wires into the appropriate connectors. Using the wiring diagram, I checked continuity between each wire to make sure that the harness would be working properly.
So now all I need to do is slide these back into the connector, line them up, slide them in, and there we go. That wasn't that bad. I expected it to be significantly worse. Now it's time for me to go on a trip to India. But when I get back, we'll put this in, finish up everything on the engine, and get that in as well. See you soon.
And indeed, the next day I got on a plane and went to India for a week to get some work and sightseeing done. I really enjoyed my time there and really look forward to going back at some point. Anyway, after a week I came back and discovered that my Mazda had an annoying wiring issue that I fixed and got back to work on the next thing.
So we're going to rebuild the shifter arm, or rather, let's be more honest, put back together the shifter arm. Before we do that though, I'd like to just clean this up a bit. I have now given up on this idea of mine. Anyway, we have the shifter arm, and the shifter carrier. I believe those are the actual terms. In addition to the shifter carrier, we have the shifter arm bushing, or carrier bushing, as it were. Then we have the rod joint. This is the old one that we took off. We're going to need it because we need to take the dowel out of it. And the new rod joint. Straight from BMW. This was honestly not that expensive, which is a welcome surprise around these parts. All right, just lubricate this bushing a little bit and slide it over the arm thusly. It does bolt into the body itself. Next step. All right. This I do definitely want to clean. Bunch of just crap here. So we will be cleaning that. I am literally next to a heater and I'm cold. Is it because I'm handling great big objects with a lot of conductive properties? No way to know. So, we have the old rod joint. I'm just gonna whack this out real quick. This little dowel pin. Whack! I didn't actually need to whack it out, I just pushed it out. Installing the new one is a little bit tricky because it actually has like this rubber padding. You have to kind of almost jam it in place. Now I am certain that there is like a specialty cool BMW tool that the dealers have to make this work, but there we go. That's all it needs. And then there is this ring here that we just need to tap, which will secure the dowel in place. Hammer! Just light taps. It wants to go in place, see? There you go. That's it. Now we have good, proper feel at the transmission. No more wiggly stick. Well, I mean, it's still going to be a wiggly stick in nature, but it's not going to be that wiggly. Now, at this point, I would probably reattach the shifter and into the car it would go. However, I can't do that because the bearing cup that I showed you, the one that goes here, I didn't order a new one. So I have to get that. It's a very cheap part. I don't know how I forgot to buy it, but I didn't, so can't put it in. Anyway, let's do something else in the meantime. Am I weird for really liking the smell of kerosene? Let's do a task that I haven't been wanting to do.
It was finally time to attack the engine bay with brake cleaner, a nylon brush attachment, and my tub of towels to remove the years and years of caked on oil, grime, and other manners of soilment.
So, checking in on the progress. We've made some significant progress here. I've discovered that the steering rack was actually aluminum. Big thanks to this tub of towels. Serving me fantastically well where everything else basically has failed.
I continued cheerily cleaning the engine bay and eventually stopped and looked up.
Found a part in my car that I didn't know existed. There's a power steering cooler here. Look at that! That's cool! I mean, this is the AC condenser with the lovely hole that I made here with the crank pulley. But I was following the power steering line. I was like, where's that going? And then I saw that there's yet another heat exchanger down here. Pretty neat. Anyway, the other big thing that I want to put on is the exhaust. I'm going to let you in on a bit of a secret here. The standard studs that BMW uses that go in here, they are garbage. And BMW actually came out with a new style of exhaust stud which have this E6 socket or thing at the end here, which makes it a lot easier to put them on. So use that. All right, before you put the exhaust on, like I almost just did, you put on the exhaust gasket. And then the second one. And then there's a gazillion billion nuts. So yeah, that's the exhaust, the vanos, and the valve cover all done. And let's transition now to when we're doing something else. Transition! I brought this over here before realizing that this was a disaster. And anyway, we won't be here very long. So there are O-rings right here on the engine side of the differential. It seals the differential to the engine itself. And there it is. I mean, it's fine. But
What if it wasn't? Which is why I bought a new one. So, here's the new ring installed on the differential. And on the, I don't really know what to call this piece. I guess this is like an axle pass-through because this connects to the other side of the engine and the axle passes through here. It has the same O-ring, so I haven't cleaned this up yet, but, you know, let's just replace the O-ring. Actually, maybe I should clean it first because I don't want to hurt the O-ring. I'm going to do that. Be right back. Definitely, I wouldn't eat off of this, but it's a lot better than it was, and that's all I care about. It's cold, so this is cold, and so handling it sucks. So, O-ring ooh, this one was crunchy. And new one comes on. Just like that. Okay, axle seals. Oh my gosh, Jesus Christ. Put that aside for the moment. Let's do this. This one's gonna be even harder because I can't even. Oh my God. There we go. Let's just clean these surfaces here because I have new axle seals. I'm just cleaning the inner ledge here. I'm not like there's a bearing in here and there's a bearing here. So I'm not trying to clean that. I'm just cleaning the bearing ledge so that there's not any sort of materials there that would prevent us from successfully placing these back. Now, we line them up. Maybe we could actually even use this. Yeah, that'll work. I think that does it. Cool. All right. Diff goes back on. This time for good. No. The diff is going on for bad. Come on, pumpkin. While we're at it, let's put this thing back in. I don't remember what BMW calls it. Slap. Now, I get to go find the bolts. I don't know where those are. Well, I found one. I honestly don't know what happened to them because, I mean, I bagged and tagged everything. There is no torque on these. Well, there's no specified torque that BMW gave for this, but they are M8s, so I'm going to go with like 25 Newton meters. Cool. Diff and this guy are in. Let's put the secondary air pump over.
After putting on the valve for the secondary air pump, I started walking around my garage looking for the air compressor bracket.
Now the biggest question is, did I do this smartly? And I'm deeply sorry to say that it appears I made my life more difficult than it has to be.
I found a few different brackets, none of which I had tagged or labeled for some odd reason, and this made me furious.
I wish Past Sam wasn't such an asshole. Past Sam is an asshole. I hate that guy. I did a lot of stuff to make this project more bearable on myself. Like, I backed and tagged almost every bolt. I read all that I could. I documented everything. I had all my torque values handy. And while that was good, it didn't prevent me from making stupid mistakes, like the main bearing bolts, which I spent $146 on twice because I messed it up. It's frustrating. And another thing that Past Sam did, when I took the engine out, I took the radiator out. When I took the radiator out, I found that I didn't really have space for it here. So I put it outside. I talked with my neighbors. They knew that it was mine and they were fine. And it was there for the last like 2-3 months. And then I went to India and came back and poof, it was gone, which means that I had to buy a new radiator. And guess what? The manual X5 3-liter radiator isn't made anymore. There are 0 of them that you can buy brand new. you, Past Sam. So of course I bought a used radiator. It's just like, it's not insurmountable. Even if there wasn't a used radiator, I could have bought a radiator for an automatic and just removed the transmission cooler, but God, I hate that guy. I've calmed down now, but how many extensions do I have to fucking buy just to keep my shit going? Let's see if I can get a part number off of this. 64 557 512 550. Cool, my phone just died. It does look like that one was for the X5 though. So 10 2004. That doesn't make sense. My X5 was made in 2006. What if that was not the original engine? Oh my God. What if it wasn't? What if my son was adopted? I know I should have cleaned it before I put it on, but I was very mad at Past Sam.
With that finally sorted out, I tried to identify one of the other brackets in the shop.
Okay, well this one's understood. What about this one? Is there a part number anywhere on this? Ah, yes. Here's the part number. I found it. Can you see that? G. That's the part number.
Eventually, I did find a real part number on it and decided that it was indeed for an E46 and could be safely shot into the sun. Before I left the garage for the night though, I had one more philosophical consideration to share with the camera.
What if instead of fixing cars, it just fucking screamed from start to finish on a video?
What if indeed? Anyway, like I've said 1,000 times before, it's not good to drive angry. So after I went home and had a good night's sleep, there was one more thing that I wanted to do before I could reinstall the engine into the car, and that was to reset the clutch pressure plate. But before we do that, I made this visual aid to explain the difference between a regular and a self-adjusting clutch, and why we need to reset it. There are three components: the clutch pressure plate, the throwout bearing, and the clutch disc itself. When the clutch pedal is up, the pressure plate presses the clutch against the flywheel to allow the transfer of power. When you push the pedal down, the throwout bearing is pushed into the diaphragm, releasing the tension on the pressure plate, allowing the clutch to disengage. On a normal car, as the clutch wears, you'll often see clutch engagement change. Either the pedal will bite higher or it will be firmer, as you will need to have more travel to do the same things. The self-adjusting clutch has a ratcheting mechanism to account for that, making it so that no matter how worn your clutch is, you have consistent pedal travel and effort throughout the life of the clutch. But it also means that when you remove it from the car, you allow the ratcheting mechanism to advance fully, which means that it's in a worn clutch position and it won't work properly until it's reset. And to fix it, well, we have to reset it. Here's what that ratcheting part looks like in real life, by the way. And also, I know I oversimplified the hell out of this, but just don't fight me. Anyway, we have the throwout bearing, some washers, a big old bolt, and I drilled a hole in my workbench. Make sure that the throwout bearing is aligned with all of the fingers on the clutch. We need to compress the clutch and try to push these back in and then let up on it while that's happening. Theoretically, this requires about 6 arms. I only have 2, so we're gonna see what we can do here. Maybe this ends badly, maybe it doesn't. Okay, now we should be able to drive this bad boy back. It's worked! So theoretically, this should fit now. I don't know. We'll see. That's it. With that boundless optimism expressed, I will pause it here. Join us next time on the Engine Rebuild series for the reinstallation of the engine and transmission back into the car. And keep an eye out for the new video coming your way soon. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoy these videos, and if you do, well, you know what buttons to press. Anyway, this is Skelly's Garage. I'm Sam, and on the screen is a theoretically fixed pressure plate. We'll see you again on the next one.